Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Building a Nation, the Analysis Days. So, first part of this, obviously, we're going to go through, look at the players, and then, you know the drill by now. But if you're new, then this is the drill, I suppose. So first part of the video, we'll go through, look at every single player so you can see the stats are improving, individual stuff like that. Then we'll go look at the actual stats for the team in the league. Then we'll go look at the player individual stats for that, and then we'll do the proper comparison bit, the deep shit towards the end of that. Anyway, so, Slavomir Chmel, yeah, I think he's been a pretty bloody good signing this year. Turned into probably our best player this season, and kept Jan Peltz out the team, which is saying something because Peltz is a phenomenal player. He's had some injuries this year, so I think it's just as well that Chmel's come in, basically. But what I'd say about him is the fact that £20,000, which is what we're bound to pay at the end of the season, we are legally bound to do that, is looking like an absolute snip when you consider how good he's been for us in this division. Lighting it up, and it's probably going to win Player of the Year. And he is only 19 years old, remember. That's the key thing to remember about Slav as well. He is an absolute boss. And just think how much better his physicals are going to get as he grows. He's already got such good technical ability in some certain areas, particularly the crossing and dribbling and first touch areas. That makes him so potent. I love him already, and he's only going to get better, it would seem. So stupidly fan of that. Mateusz Lugolecki, he's been fine. Frankly, I'm still not totally sure who's been the best of our defensive midfielders. We'll look forward to seeing that in the analysis part of the analysis video. Simon the Ferret, 10 goals, 5 assists this year. It's not been amazing, I've got to say, but I do feel like with more game time, I'm hoping he can still do a job. You know, the fact is, he's still got into double figures for us in the league this year, which is nothing to be sniffed at, and I still think there's more to come from him next season. I don't think I'm going to be looking out for a new striker or attacking midfield player to play that role. I think he can do the job for us in the top flight. We'll have to see, though. Wojciech Fijarczyk didn't start any matches, got a goal off the bench, though, played some games. He's done well for us in the underage teams, that's the thing. He played in that local Polish Cup, got a goal and 3 assists when he played, and he's also got 8 goals and 2 assists in the non-competitive ones, which can mean all sorts of things, in fairness. So he's clearly got a bit about him, and he's improving very, very steadily. I think he's going to be excellent for the future. Really, really do. Patrick Mbitsky, sign him in the summer. He's barely played for us this year, so we can't really read too much into him, but he is still very young. But then he's 19 years old, so maybe not. Mateusz Gora, for a player that really hasn't ever been in full favour in this team, when he's asked to do things, he does them. He's only started 6 games this year, but he's got 5 goals in the league, which is really, really good. And also the goal that won us the title and promoted us in the 90th minute. That is something he'll always be remembered for, no matter what else. Karol Jaksic didn't get as many games at all this year, really. Only a few off the bench. Didn't really achieve much when he did play, really. And yeah, I don't know about him. We might have to look at moving him on even, maybe. And the same with Kamil Jaziak. Only one, in fact, he didn't play a single league game for us this year. And he's 24 years old. I feel like he's the sort of player that will almost certainly move on. Conrad Kath, old comrade here. Absolutely quality. 26 league appearances, a 7.9, 83% pass completion as well, a goal and assist. He is an absolute boss at the back, and long may it continue. I don't know why it always considers him a right back. To me, he is a centre back. That's all he will do for us. Sebastian Kobera, same kind of story as Lugolecki. We'll see how they compare to each other, really. Be very interested in that one. Kociniewski, he's played an okay number of games this year. He's mainly been the sort of backup to those two. Whenever one of those two has been out, he's been the man that's come in, and he's done an okay job. Better than he did, I think, in the previous season, in all honesty. Yeah, he's had a better time of it in the second tier than he did in the third tier. So that's an interesting one. And he was very good in the first tier. If anything, he's actually had his best season for us. Although maybe the sample size is a bit too small. Tomasz Kokoszka, 26 appearances this year. Pretty damn solid. I think he's done a decent job and has still got a long way to improve, but he is only 19, and again, it's great to have those options. Nika Kvantaliani, only 6 substitute appearances in the end, 1 assist in the year, but I still think that there's something to offer from this guy. Where is he? He's not even listed in his own comparison. Oh no, there he is. But there's still something about him. I'm fairly certain of that, but the wages, I don't know whether he's worth that. Mateusz Malik, though, is definitely worth that. 9 assists, 7 goals in the league. He has dominated that right-hand side this season, and no one's been able to get near him. Huge fan of him. New contract for him. 23 years old. Massive. He's just been a huge player for us this year. Super fan of that. So moving on after him, Piotr Mazlanka played a few towards the end, scored a couple of free kicks, put in some solid performances. So there is definitely that is worth noting. Despite only having 10 free kicks, that's kind of interesting, actually. Bartosz Neugebauer, I think he's been good for us this year. 10 clean sheets only, which is a bit lower than usual, but we have been playing in a much tougher league. And the fact is, he's still very young. I think he could be the keeper for a long time yet. Krzysztof Nyberski basically didn't play at all, so he's not really worth talking about. Viktor Patsikat, I've been impressed. He's only got 2 assists this year, but I've actually been pretty impressed with him so far, the 24-year-old. I don't know how much better he's going to get, really. So I'm a bit concerned about that, and I might still be on the lookout. We've still not really perfected that right-back slot at the moment, and he also has that dreads playing in big matches, so that could really be an issue. Jan Peltz hasn't started enough, really. Only 7 starts and 9 sub appearances. He's had too many injuries, really. Still managed to get a goal, though, and 2 assists, so not the end of the world for old Peltz. He's still got a long way to go with his career. Christian Pichara, now, he's started 1 match. He's got 2 substitute appearances, but he has got a goal and an assist. His contract still has 1 more year to run, the 32-year-old. But as I was saying before, like, we can't send him on a coaching course anymore because they just won't let us, which is a shame. Octavian didn't really get a lot of appearances. 13 substitute appearances. Did get a couple of assists, but he's always been sort of further down the pecking order. But he's a very versatile player, and he's useful to have around, if nothing else. Mateusz Tobias, the goalkeeper, played a fair amount of games. 10 appearances, 5 clean sheets. So he's actually done all right, but he also did score the goal. Like, he scored a goal. We can't take that away from him. Janusz Zaborowski, he started 1 game, played 11 off the bench for us this year. No goals, no assists in the league for old Janusz, which is a bit of a shame. Still lots more to come from him, I think. But he's not my biggest fan at the moment due to the fact that I wouldn't like just throw him into the first team. But Malik was playing so well, I just couldn't take him out of the team. I just simply couldn't. His contract expires next summer too, and I don't know how much he's going to be interested in signing a new one. My man, Sebastian Zavjikrai, he just gets better and better, and it would appear as though he's actually got room to get even better. And long may it continue. 6 goals this year, 3 assists, 90% pass completion overall. I mean, yeah, okay, so he scored 1 less goal than last season, but he's playing in a higher division, and his average rating's been very, very consistent. What an absolute player he has been. I don't know what his pass completion was last season. In the league, it was 89. This year, yeah, it was 90, but he's still been pretty much dead heat in most of those. Super player. Long may it continue. Jakobs Muda has spent a lot of the rest of the season out on loan at Bitovia, playing in the 3rd tier. So got a couple of assists. It's not too bad. Daniel Barbas barely played at all, really. Been further down the pecking order. Bieloruski's never played for us at all. Michel Bijalo, though, 34 appearances. He's started, I think, every single league game this season. He might be the only one that has. 3 goals, an assist, and a 7.3 rating. I've been hugely impressed with him this year. Massive fan of the 25-year-old. And he's got a lovely smiley face, too, and you can't go wrong there. Bochnak, 10 goals this year, 2 assists. I've been a fan of his. It took me a little while to warm to him, but he really did step it up in the second half of the season, and I think that's the key thing for me. He's a good passer of the ball. He does things right, and he scored 10 goals for us this year, which is not bad, really, when you think about it. I wanted double figures from both him and Ferret, and we got it. And we're back to Khmil. So there you go. That's how the squad is shaping up at the moment. There's a lot to like, and a lot more coming through the youth academy and whatnot. So let's take a look at the league. So amazingly, we don't have the most possession in the league, because Sanditska, yeah, they actually did quite well against us with possession too. And it makes no surprise to me that Varta Poznan are up there too, because they did a wonderful job of keeping possession against us. That's still pretty amazing though. Headers won were really low down, but we knew that anyway. Headers won ratio, relatively minimal. We're up there on those. We have had a couple of... No, we have 1 red card this year. That's not too bad. I presume that's a straight red card, unless it was counting the Kobera one as the red. I don't know, actually. Form, that one's irrelevant. Goals, so we weren't the highest scorers in the league for the first time in this save. Only 58 goals, which is actually less than 2 a game, so interesting. Cross completion, bit lower down this time. Could definitely do with working on that one. Crosses completed overall, we're right up there though, which is the main thing. Goals, wow, we scored 10 goals from corners. That's actually quite high. Normally we're not as good as that. That's really interesting. Direct free kicks, we scored a couple, which is nice. Indirect free kicks, scored 2. Pass completion ratio, not the highest either. These 2 teams really know how to play a bit of football. We're just more aggressive with it. Passes completed, we're right up there though. Chances created, the highest, which means we need to be a bit better with our chance conversion, it would seem. Shots on target, again, that could be the issue here. Just not enough. Our conversion rate is not high enough. I think we'd be much more dominant if our conversion rate was higher, because we created some really good chances and just didn't put them away, and that might have been the issue, really. We're right up there on that as well, which is nice. Conceded, not the best defence in the league either. Varta, again, up there, which makes total sense. They just kept the ball even better than we did. Conceded from corners, 3, not bad. Conceded from direct free kicks, 2, This is where we usually struggle. 1, better, thank you. Clean sheets, 3rd best with 15 clean sheets this year. That still ain't bad. That's nearly 1 every other game. Not as good as it has been in the past, though. Fouls made. Tackles 1. We're down at the bottom of tackles 1. I guess we haven't needed to win that many, and our ratio is fairly solid. We have conceded 5 penalties. Could have done without doing that, I gotta say. God, look at the teams at the bottom. They really have struggled for penalties, haven't they? Attendance is, wow, Vidjev, 17,000 nearly. Our average is 3,000, and Grief are barely, not even getting 1,000. Attendance by capacity, they're nearly filling their stadium every single time. Stadium sellouts, we've had none, because I think our highest attendance was like 5k. Yeah, just under 5k, and that was for the game against Vissa, which saw us go up. They got 20,000. Next season, I feel like we'll get some sellouts, though. We've got to. Lowest attendance, not bad, though. Not bad. Garbania got 500 people in the ground. My God. Net transfer spend. We have spent the most at 60k, but, you know, that's fine by me. Piast made £5 million. £5 million. We are insecure. The fact that Piast made £5 million, their bank balance must be absolutely ridiculous, which actually makes it worse when you consider the fact that they've got the highest average salary of £2 million a year, and we're spending a quarter of that and just got promoted from this league. So we're still spending a reasonable amount on salaries, though, it's fair to say. Even though I'm keeping it in check, we're still going up with that massively. But it is interesting. I think our finances should sort themselves out now. Now that we're in the top flight, we're going to be getting a lot more money from prize money. There's TV funds and all sorts of stuff. Sponsorship, all that stuff should really help us. And hopefully we'll get into Europe in a few seasons. And we should be able to fix that too. So let's take a look at the player stats too. This is always a bit more interesting to see where we kind of rank on that one. Games won. Games, yellow cards. We don't... No one on there at all. That's really, really good. Red cards, shouldn't be anyone on here at all. Cabrera's got 1. So that was our only red of the season. Interestingly, player of the match awards. Camille with 6 player of the match awards is probably going to win player of the season, it's fair to say. Per 90 minutes, no one on there at all. Average rating, I mean, look at this. Camille's on there, Malik, Zavjikrai, Kasalik, Birjalo. The fact that our 2 centre-backs are both on there is really, really telling for me. Headers 1, Kasalik, Birjalo, both on there. Really what I want to see. Goals, Adnan Bouad doing a good job, the 30-year-old. Right, and here we go. Down in joint 5th in the end. They really sort of dropped off. Boknak actually caught him up in the end, and I think actually has a better goals per minute ratio. So that's very interesting. No, Gora actually has the best one with 172, but yeah, Boknak actually has outscored Ferret despite not playing as the shadow striker. So Ferret still got some stuff to answer for, I'd have to say. Zavjikrai does love a shot. That is definitely fair. Shots on target, though. Hmeel, he loves a shot on target. Right, please have some players on here. Hmeel at 55 and Ferret at 54. That's good. Ferret just needs to be taking more shots then, because he's hitting the target enough. Conversion rate, Ferret at 16%. That's actually pretty good. I just don't think he's getting enough shots. That seems to be the thing for me. Maybe we should tell him to shoot more often or not shoot less often. Maybe we could bring the shackles off of the Ferret a little bit. Because he's got decent... his long shots aren't great, but he's got good finishing. And maybe... just have a look at this now. Do we have... what? Shoot less off. I might just turn that off of the shadow striker and just open him up a little bit more and see if maybe just having him take more shots could be a key thing for us. But remember, I've done that, because I might need to turn that off if we go to shit. Team goals, not the most, obviously. Penalties, oh dear. Boknak scored 2 of the 3 penalties he's taken, so he's definitely the man for the job there. Assists-wise, we didn't win that. Malik got 9 and Hmeel got 8, but they were both up there. Look at these guys. These guys look solid as hell. I think they're going to be coming up with us, though, aren't they? So there's that. Key passes, Mateusz Malik at 57, but Zavjikrai at 55, Ferret 37. I mean, we've got 5 of the top 7 players are all ours. Nice to see. Chances created as well. Malik is a chance machine. No wonder he's got so many assists. If people were better at taking his chances, he'd have more assists. Simple as that. Pass completion, not the best in the league. Amazingly, there were players better than us in that sense. Zavjikrai at 89, Cabrera at 89, Wugawetski at 88. That's what I like to see. Cross completion ratio, nobody there to be seen. Dribbles per game, Hmeel up there. Malik not doing a bad job either. Offside is irrelevant. Conceded. That's interesting. Wugawetski has been... that is very interesting, actually. Look at this. We've conceded 10 goals with Wugawetski in the team over 18 appearances, and Cabrera 17 goals. That's going to be very interesting to look at when we take the proper stats, because that to me is telling me something. Tackles per game, Wugawetski winning a few more tackles per game, not by much, but a few. Mistakes leading to goals, none. Nice. Key tackles, Kasalik with 7 key tackles, Birjalo with 6, and Pachikat actually with 6 as well. Kokoschka nowhere to be seen, though, interestingly. Key headers, of course, Birjalo and Kasalik tied on 37. They're just the twins, these two, aren't they? Interceptions, Birjalo just dominating that one, it would seem. Headers 1 ratio, Wugawetski at 81. Again, another thing I'm starting to think he's definitely the better one here. Shots blocked, nobody, good. Conceded. Okay, so actually Neugebauer does win that with the least goals conceded in only 20 so far, but doesn't get the most clean sheets because we've had to play Bartosz a few times as well. So there you go. Right. Now things start to get very interesting as we're going to do the comparisons, and I'm looking forward to that DM one because I think Wugawetski's going to surprise us. But first, we'll start with keepers, shall we? Okay, so goalkeepers. Yeah, we can ignore Bieloruski for now, but I just can't be asked to sort out the settings to remove him from this. So team conceded per 90 minutes. We concede it's about the same, really. Like, it's a tiny bit more with Neugebauer, but it is negligible amounts. And also, he's made a mistake into a goal. We know what that was, though. Their clean sheets. Tobias has a slightly higher clean sheet percentage, which is definitely noteworthy. And he has had an higher average rating, but that could have been caused by him scoring a goal. I still feel like Neugebauer is the man for us going forward, to be fair. I think that's a fair assumption, really. Right, let's just jump straight into the fullbacks. So, here are the fullbacks. Now, obviously, Patrikat and Kokoschka have played the dominant amount of minutes for this team so far this season. Jaksik's played a minimal amount, as has Maslanka, but Maslanka's played a few more. So I just want to see kind of how they line up, so we can see maybe where we're going wrong and what type of players to look for potentially if we do want to improve this position. So, assists per 90 minutes. Kokoschka and Patrikat are the only ones with the assists. Kokoschka's got a few. Well, he's got 2, and Patrikat also has 2. Chance created is a more telling one because it allows these guys to be involved a bit more. Jaksik and Maslanka are both vastly higher, but particularly Maslanka, that's the one that's interesting to me. It's double that of Kokoschka, and he's played 700 minutes this year, and that's a fair amount of chances created to be getting those kind of numbers. But what I would say is they're worse in terms of passing, but it's a negligible amount, but that extra chance creation could be why Maslanka puts in some really, really high numbers for average ratings when he's in the team. So I might do a comparison between the two players so we can sort of understand maybe why that is, to give us an idea of what Kokoschka's missing, maybe, and what you could improve in. Passes completed, again, with the left-hand side, always completes more passes overall than the right. It's just the way it is. Key passes per 90 minutes. Okay. So, Patrikat does okay. Maslanka again outperforms Kokoschka. Not by much. It's very, very minimal. And I don't know if Jaksik just played against certain teams that's caused that. But we'll have to see. Dribbles per game. Kokoschka does dribble a lot more than Maslanka, though. And that might get us into some good positions. That's certainly noteworthy. Cross completion. Okay, key here. Kokoschka, 15%. Much more like it. That, to me, is a real telling sign. And Patrikat is outperforming Jaksik, but that's still not very good at 8%. I want my fullbacks to be completing more crosses than that. Like, I want at least 10 or more, really. Defensively, Kokoschka is the best. And that's another good sign. So he's clearly got the defensive side of the game down nicely. Just missing a few little bits going forward, perhaps. Tackles 1 ratio. Maslanka does complete a few more tackles, though. Jaksik's dreadful on that one. It's really obviously dreadful. Interceptions per 90 minutes. Kokoschka, again, doing a really good job of the defensive side of the game, which is good. Headers 1 ratio. Patrikat doing a good job there. Again, Kokoschka outperforming Maslanka. Patrikat is definitely the best right-sided defender we have. I still think that there could be improvements made, though, because I think that his crossing, despite being 8, he's just not really delivering as much as I would like. So I would definitely be tempted to go after, sorry for the burp there, be tempted to go after another right back, because I'm just not sure about him. Now, Kokoschka to me, let's do a proper comparison between Kokoschka and who are we talking about? Maslanka. So we can actually see how they line up. So we'll look at this first. So Kokoschka is much, much better physically than Maslanka, which is interesting considering how much, I suppose he's getting on a bit. Maslanka, slightly better at the mentals and just has this extra little bit here in the attacking side of the game. But we'll do a proper have a look at the attributes and compare them. So looking at where it matters. So interestingly, Maslanka has much better dribbling, yet Kokoschka just takes on dribbles far more. He's obviously a lot better at free kicks and long shots too, but long throws and much better marking for Kokoschka. Like, that is a real standout for him. You can see that might explain why he's so much better at the defensive side of the game. His passing isn't as good, but he still does a decent job at completing his passes, but maybe he's not as good at taking really good passes. Tackling is also slightly better. He's just a better defender, it would seem. He's not as brave, but he's also better at anticipation, which would potentially explain the number of extra interceptions he gets. He's very, very bad at flair. So again, maybe Maslanka's just got that little bit of extra to put some stuff in, and he's better off the ball too. His teamwork also has improved, but Kokoschka works harder and he's got much better vision. It's almost like Kokoschka can see the passes he wants to play, but he's just not quite as good as pulling off the passes as maybe Maslanka is. But later down the line, he'll certainly improve there. But the thing where it really comes into play is, firstly, he's 3 inches taller, which massively helps him. His balance is incredible by comparison. He's better at jumping. His strength is huge compared to Maslanka. He's got much better stamina. He's not quite as fast, but I think overall Kokoschka is still the way to go for us. He's got 10 crossing, which is the same as Maslanka. I think the areas where he's just lacking a little bit might just be in his... I mean, in all honesty, he's just better in every way except his ability to find key pass creation. I think it's just because his passing is slightly worse. And so maybe if his passing improves slightly, he'll start to improve in that one. But I'm fairly content with that. We'll just do a quick comparison here. Where is it? The statistics one. He should be... that is interesting, actually. Tackles won per 90 minutes. Shots on target ratio, that's irrelevant. He wins a lot less tackles per 90 minutes. His tackle completion is worse. He covers less ground, and his average rating is worse too. Huh. That is interesting, but I still think overall, he is definitely the man for the job in this role at the moment. I think he's... who's he wanted by? Presumably a top flight side. Corona. Well, no. How about Kanona? So yeah, I think we're okay in that spot, and I'm prepared to give Kokoschka the benefit of the doubt and let him keep playing in that role next season. Maybe sign a young backup to him or something, but I'm not super bothered about that. I still think that he's the man for the job, and he will keep improving. Remember, he's very young. He's still only like 19 years old, whereas Maslanka's 30. So that's 11 years his senior. So that to me is good. The consistency thing here is a bit of a problem. He's fairly poor in the air, but he's certainly a lot better than Maslanka is, so that's for sure. So let's now move over to centre-backs. As far as I can make out, there's really only been 3 players that have actually played at centre-back this year. Birjallo's played every single game for us, and Kasalik's played 26 of them, and Kochinievsky's basically played in the other ones too, so he's just filled in the gap. So it's basically a case of which of these two is better, and how is Kochinievsky doing as a comparison to the other two. That's the real thing. We don't want full-back analysis, we want centre-back analysis. So there we go. Right, so pass completion. Konrad Kasalik and Bierzala both at 83, Kochinievsky down at 80. It's slightly worse, but it's it's not even that noticeable, but the point is, the fact is those two are just better than him. They complete their passes more, they're just better on the ball. Fair enough. Bierzala, interestingly, completes way less passes, which means he's often maybe trying the longer passes a little bit more. Team goals, that's team goals that we score per 90 minutes. So we score the most with Kochinievsky and Bierzala in the team, which is interesting. Key passes as well. Bierzala makes more key passes, presumably because he's more likely to try that long pass. I don't know if he's got better passing. 11 passing and 10 vision compared to Konrad Kasalik's 4 passing. I mean, that's clear to see. The fact that Konrad Kasalik can achieve 83% pass completion with 4 passing is huge. But clearly, what he's trying to do basically is pass that ball to Bierzala, who can then play it to a much, much better player because he just completes less passes. He gets the ball and makes the pass. Team conceded per 90 minutes. Well, there you go. Kasalik were the best with him in the team. Bierzala not too bad either. And Kochinievsky, we just concede a few more goals with him in the team. Tackles won ratio. Bierzala at 90%. Konrad Kasalik only at 73%. That's very, very low, and yet he actually puts in really solid performances. But that is noticeably very poor. He does, however, win more interceptions than the other guys. So he's less of a tackler and more of an anticipation-based player, it would seem. He's a guy that sort of runs on instinct a little bit more. He's only got 7 anticipation compared to Bierzala's 10. But he's just very good at intercepting stuff. And he's not been great in the air either at 68%. Bierzala, again, has outdone him in the air too. Konrad Kasalik, I'm not really sure what he does. I know this is going to sound strange, right? But look at this. He's got 4 passing, so he's not really a big passer of the ball. He gets big numbers here because he probably just knocks the ball between him, Bierzala, and the goalkeeper a lot of the time. He doesn't win a lot of tackles compared to the other two. He does intercept a bit more, and he's not great in the air compared to the other two either. But he does put up big numbers in terms of average ratings. And he's not like he's scored loads of goals this year. So I'm just curious to see what is causing him to pump that number up. Is it the passing? It's certainly interesting that he's got the best average rating of the bunch. Comparing that, maybe we can have a look at his coach report a little bit, not his coach report, his stats a little bit deeper here. Failed his tackles 1, he shots on target, fouls against, tackles 1. I don't really know. I really don't know. It's certainly interesting, that's for sure, as to why he's done so well. Maybe it's because we are sort of playing him out of position, and maybe he is just better as a right back, but for me, he's just not a very good right back. He's just not. He doesn't have the right stats for it. He's got 2 crossing. I don't want a right back with 2 crossing. It's just not going to happen. I think maybe the fact that his marking is 8 is what might let him down a little bit. He is a very no-nonsense player. Absolutely no-nonsense. I guess playing with a slightly better partner has definitely helped him. I still think they're a great pair, though. I really, really do. It's certainly not an area where I'm going to be looking to bring in like a star for that role. I'd rather bring in a young player if I can find one that can maybe improve us overall, but I don't think it's an area where I'm particularly fussed right now. Left back is young player again. Goalkeeper I'm happy with. It's right back where I do still want to try and find someone who stands out to me a little bit more. Right, now DMs. This is big. Okay, so it's between Wugowecki and Kobiera. this to me is going to decide an awful lot about who is actually the best player, because look, their average ratings are dead heat. Then neither of them are actually very good for that. So there must be something that's making one stand out over another, and I want to find out what that is, basically. So let's do this now. Pass completion, Cabrera wins, but it's tiny amounts. Ługowiecki does complete more passes overall. Key passes per 90 minutes, Ługowiecki is a standout compared to Cabrera. That is a massive jump up. That's nearly double the number of key passes, which to me suggests that he's just doing a better job in general of keeping the play from an attacking standpoint, you know, and maybe that's where his talents lie. Cabrera, 96% tackle won. That's 10% higher. That is a lot higher. It's very noticeable, and his interceptions are better too. So defensively, he seems to do a much better job there. Headers won, however, Ługowiecki is slightly higher, but he goes for less aerial challenges. But the key thing here, look at this. Team conceded per 90 minutes. We concede so many less goals with him in the team than Cabrera. Like that, over the course of a season, if you played a full season of 34 games with Cabrera in the team, we concede like 30, I don't know, probably close to 40 goals, maybe not quite as much as that. But with Ługowiecki, we'd be in the low 20s. And that, to me, says a lot about him. Sure, Cabrera wins more tackles and is better with the interceptions, but for some reason, I think we're just able to keep the ball and hold on to it more with Cabrera in the team. With Ługowiecki in the team, and as a result, we don't have to do as much. We just can keep that ball so much better and are way more creative with Ługowiecki in the team. And I just think that, look at the last 5 games as well. Wow. His average rating's been huge in comparison. He does run a bit less too, but maybe that's just smart running. I don't know. I think Ługowiecki is the guy for us next season. I think he is the starting defensive midfielder for us next season. I might have a look to see if we can find another one, but I actually think that those numbers aren't too bad. And maybe given more time, he could really do something for us next season, even if the rating doesn't suggest it. If he keeps putting up good numbers, and that team conceded per 90 minutes number is the key one for me. Like, he started 19 matches, and if we're only conceding 0.6 goals a game with him in the team, that's huge. That's the real telling number for me, that he's offering some real good cover despite not getting the big numbers in perhaps, and also a much better creative force, like much better. Like key passes, he's made 9 compared to Cabrera's 4. That's double. Really pleased with that. Might still, again, look out for someone young, but for me, Ługowiecki is our starting defensive midfielder next season. There's no contest anymore. But it's very interesting that Cabrera is better in these 2 abilities, but we concede way more goals with him in the team. It might just be coincidence, but it's a big enough sample size for me to be like, no, there's definitely something to this. So that's interesting. Let's go compare centre mids, although I'm not sure what there is to compare. Okay, so really, when it comes to this, I'm sure other players have played minutes. I can't remember. I think maybe Octavian might have played some time there from the bench. But there's all but one game has been started by Zavchukrai or Janowski. I don't know who started that other one league game. It might have been Octavian, but I don't really think it matters right now. Key thing is I just want to compare these two. Now, it's not really that much to read into, but it's interesting is what all I'm saying. Passes completed per game. Janowski's actually slightly higher, but I don't know about that. 108 passes on average. That is huge, but 77 is still bloody excellent. But Zavchukrai has made more key passes, so that's interesting. Tackles 1. Janowski made more interceptions, so he might be slightly better at the defensive side, and he's much better in the air. Like, that it goes without saying. He's 6 foot tall compared to Zavchukrai's 5'11". It's not a lot, but we do concede more goals with him in the team, interestingly. But he's also got that 18 determination and a driven personality, and I think that Alexander Janowski could be a very capable understudy next year to Sebastian Zavchukrai, who just seems to not get injured ever. He just constantly plays. I think Janowski's a comfortable substitute for him next season. And since we've only got one player in that role, I'm all right with that. And I think, yeah, if we saw anyone awesome who's young, we could bring them in. But Janowski, I think he needs game time, and soon, because he's 17 years old and he's already developing like crazy and capable of putting up big numbers. And he didn't look phased in those league games that he played. He got an assist, sure, with his head, but he controlled the play in the middle of the park, got lots of possession, lots of passing, did his job to the best thing that he could do, really, and I'm pleased for him for that. And I think having 2 excellent youngsters in that role is really nice. But I wouldn't be opposed to looking for more. I think a lot of this summer is basically going to be me looking at what's available, and if there's any really good deals available, I'll go and pick them up, and also going after lots of youngsters to sort of pack out the squad with high potential players, because at this point I think we'll be able to do enough to stay up next year fairly comfortably. We'll have to see though, and I want to start concentrating on building for the future rather than signing loads of old players at this point. Really concentrate on signing good quality young players, like players like Meal, bringing those types of players in that will only bring us joy down the line. That's what I really want to do. Right, attacking mids. It just occurred to me I did the CM yeah, I did the Zavchukrai analysis whilst I had the DM analysis one on, so there might have been more stats we could have looked at, but to me, there wasn't really a lot of comparison we could really do, so it's not that important. I have now switched out for the AM one here, so Pichara didn't play a lot of minutes, but I thought I'd include him anyway, just so we can have a look at his sort of output, and same with Fiarchik. We're mainly looking at the other three, but we'll see. Goals per 90 minutes, Pichara, of course. Gora, of course, up there too. Bochnak in behind, Ferret up there too. But the thing is, though, Fiarchik has got the same amount of minutes per goals as Simon Ferret, so maybe over a full season he could have actually done something, in the fact that he scored one for us too. Gora and Bochnak, great performances from him. Bochnak, really, really pleased for him. Assists per 90 minutes, again, Pichara a little bit out there, but Ferret, not bad actually. More creative, interestingly, than the player who's probably supposed to be creating the assists. Ferret with the 5 assists this year is good numbers. Like, that's what I want to see from him. If he'd got the 5 assists and had got more, maybe 15 goals, I would consider him to have had a good season. But he's just kind of struggled a little bit. Fair to say. Chances created as well. Fiarchik, now that is interesting. 0.37 chances created. It's a reasonable amount. He's played in 10 different matches. The guy can create. And I do wonder if there's a place for him around the squad next year. He's still a really solid player. At 17 years old still, I think there's a lot to come from him. Pass completion, interesting. Bochnak at 87%. Fiarchik does need to improve there, though. At 69 is very, very low. I need these guys to be keeping that ball a little bit more. Is his passing and vision bad? Passing of 10, vision of 12. No. He just needs to improve a little bit there. And maybe it's because of where we've brought him into games. I don't know. But he does need to step his game up there. Bochnak at 87 is much, much more like it. That's really, really high. And that's what I want to see from him. That's why I think he's done so well this year. Ferret down at 78 is a bit low compared to Pichara, but I'm okay with that. He's not completed a lot of passes either, Fiarchik. And it might be because of the games he's been brought into. I don't know. But that is definitely noteworthy. Key passes per 90 minutes. He's a lot better on that, though, compared to the other two, but it might be because of the less minutes played. Gora, though, really loves the key pass. He actually puts up some big numbers. Like, we cannot ignore that. The goals per 90 minutes over those periods, and his key passes, and his pass completion ratio. Mateusz Gora is a good player. It's just, I don't know, he's just a good player. I can't deny it. I think he needs more game time, if anything. He just does good things. Headers 1 ratio. Sorry, headers 1 per 90 minutes. Fiarchik, he is a tall boy, which definitely helps. And these two sort of struggle a bit on that one. Shots on target. Gora at 38 is very, very low. Fiarchik hitting it at 50% though. Not bad. Bochnak pretty low. Ferret hits the target a decent amount. I would just like him to shoot a little bit more. I think that's the key thing for me. You can see how many shots he has in comparison. It's not so great. Dribbles per 90 minutes. Ferret. 1 per 90 minutes. He's not bad. Distance covered as well. Gora covers a lot of ground too. He works hard. If anything, he doesn't really even deserve to be a backup player for us, but that's kind of the role he's found himself in, and I'm all right with that for now. As for these positions, Ferret I'm happy to stick with. I think Bochnak's done well. Gora's a really top option as a backup there, and we've got Fiarchik to come in there as well. So that's 4 really solid players for 2 positions, and we're still going to have Pichara next season too. I think this position is actually pretty good for us at the moment, and I don't really think we need to be looking for players in this one either. I'm actually fairly happy with it. Yeah, moving on to the right and the left midfielders, I guess. Finally, on to wingers. Now, I'm very interested in the way this one works out. Some of them obviously haven't played enough to maybe count them so much, with Zaborowski and Kvantiliani perhaps, but it's certainly noteworthy. Chmiel is outperforming Peltz, like, comfortably in terms of goals per 90 minutes. Peltz, he started 7 games and came off the bench in 9 of them, but only scored 1 goal this year. Chmiel has completely outpaced him by 3 times the output there, and Malik's been solid on the right-hand side as well. Perhaps not quite as good, but he's still up there. Assists per 90 minutes, well, yeah, Chmiel actually has a higher assist per 90 minutes ratio than Malik, considering how much we give Malik credit for. It's weird. Malik creates a lot of chances, but our players don't seem to be able to take his chances, where Chmiel seems to create better quality chances for our teammates. It would seem that way anyway. Kvantiliani does have an assist, but I don't know if you can read much into that. Zaborowski with nothing. But again, Peltz is lagging behind. His numbers aren't awful on the assists one. That's what I would say. Over a full season, they'd be pretty decent, but he's lagging behind hugely. Chances created per 90 minutes, though. Zaborowski does know how to create some chances. So there's definitely that. And maybe if he'd played for us more regularly, he'd actually have some goals and assists to his name. Certainly on the assist side of things. Mateusz Malik is very good at creating chances compared to Chmiel, but Chmiel would put some away, and again, he's outdoing Peltz comfortably there. Cross completion, this is another interesting one. Peltz does, well, yeah, he's a tiny bit higher, but it's right in the right region there. Kvantiliani at 23%. The guy can cross a football. That's what I would say. And I think that's why he is a very solid backup to Mateusz Malik. But Malik's been so solid this year. And literally, he started 33 games and come off the bench in one. He's just basically had no injuries for the most part. And it's not really given much game time to Kvanteliani. Most seasons, he'd be getting a lot more appearances than he has. He's just been kept out of the team by the sheer form of Mateusz Malik this year. Pass completion, again, you can see Hmil, excellent at 84. Kvanteliani, excellent at 84. And then it starts to fall off. Peltz at 71 is a dreadful. That's 13% gap. And that's not even 30% worse. That's 30% gap. Peltz's pass completion has really been off the pace this year. He's not really adjusted to this level that well. He scored that one-headed goal from a Malik cross earlier this year, but that's about it. Whereas everybody else is doing a decent job at keeping passes going. And he is not. See about key passes, though. Zaborowski again up there with Malik, Hmil, Peltz lagging behind him again. Kvanteliani not great with the key passes. Zaborowski very good with the key passes and the chance creation. I do wonder about him with that. He's really put up some big numbers, but in a small amount of game minutes, so I'm not sure. But it's still certainly worth paying attention to. Shots on target percentage. Zaborowski at 55%. Malik is a bit lower. That might be why he's not scored so many goals this year, although he has still scored 7 goals. So, God, imagine if he had a shots on target ratio of that of Hmil, he'd probably have more like 11 goals, to be honest, this season. So he's probably missing out a little bit there. He doesn't shoot. Yeah, look at this. Doesn't get many shots on target. Less than 1 a game is actually very, very poor. Dribbles per game, of course, Hmil's up there. Peltz, again, lagging behind him on that one. Malik, Kvanteliani, and Zaborowski is just woeful with the dribbles. I assume he just doesn't have very good dribbling. It's 8. I don't know. He's a weird one. It really is a weird one. You could see that there's 2 standout players. Hmil and Malik are comfortably good enough, I think, to do a job for us in the top flight. Peltz, I think, probably can do a job as a backup, but I'm a little bit concerned about him at the moment. Kvanteliani's okay on the right, and I actually think we're not too bad in these positions either. Honestly, the right back spot is the one position that I think I really want to strengthen. Everywhere else, I'm pretty happy with the way it's going at the moment, and I'd mainly be looking at youngsters to sort of boost the squad so we can develop them over a few seasons, because these guys are just coming into their own, particularly the wingers. Like, they're all 23 or under, all having great times. Hmil's only 19 years old, and he's going to be our player of the season probably. So there's a lot to be said for the fact that we should just maybe don't try and overhaul the whole squad with bringing in tons and tons of players, and instead maybe try and spend some of that money on bringing in a few 16-year-olds perhaps from other Polish clubs, just to strengthen the options we're going to have going forward in a few years, particularly as I've decided that I said I can't sign other players from Polish clubs. Obviously we had to at some point because our scouting range is only Poland. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to let the cut-off for that be, once my board say that our scouting range is no longer just Poland, that will be the cut-off point where I'm no longer allowed to sign players from other Polish sides. So that's going to be a very interesting situation once that comes around, which could be within the next couple of seasons now that we're in the top flight. So there we go. So that's the season in a nutshell, basically. A fantastic year again. Next year is going to be much more difficult, we know that, but I still think that the tactic is good enough to see us stay up next season and see what we can do against some of the better sides. I don't think there's going to be any chance of us winning the league or getting close to Europe or anything like that, but the fact that we can at least, I think we'll still get some big results this season, and, you know, things might not go to plan. We're probably going to lose a lot more games next year, but it's been about time that we actually started having some adversity in this save, because it's been, quite frankly, it's been a bit easy so far, and I kind of want some challenges, and now we're going to get to the part where the challenges come in. So, if you've enjoyed this and you're looking forward to next season, drop a like on the video, that'd be awesome. And if you're new to the channel and looking forward to next season, subscribe, that'd be awesome as well. And I'll join you guys tomorrow for transfer stuff. The Pimp Suit's back. We'll see what kind of players I can pick up, because this is going to be a very interesting summer to see what I can come up with. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.